Hi, good afternoon. My name is Vitor Marquezini. I'm sociologist from Brazil. I'm working now at the Brazilian Early Warning Center, and that was created very recently in 2011. And we started to develop this project, Challenges for a People-Centered Early Warning System, bridging culture, education, and citizen science. The scientific literature point two approaches for early warning system. The last mile approach that's focused on a top-down that considers people as a warning receiver, focus on technological aspects and hazards, and only consider the scientific knowledge. The first mile approach that was recommended in Hyogo framework stressed the importance of bottom-up experience, considering these local people as the central component of an early warning system, and put emphasis not only on hazards but on vulnerabilities, and also value not only the scientific knowledge but the traditional knowledge. Hyogo framework for action recommends that nations have had to develop people-centered early warning system, but Hyogo framework didn't told us how to develop people-centered early warning system. I think this is central questions for not only for scientific literature and researchers, but also for governments. And the main questions of our work were: what are the main vulnerabilities to achieve the people-centered early warning system, and what capacities can be developed to reduce these vulnerabilities? When we look at Brazil, we have some root causes and dynamic pressures that explain the progression of vulnerability and the social construction of risk. So in the last 60 years, Brazil suffered a huge urban growth, mainly in the coast area. We have a picture of Rio de Janeiro that can explain some dimensions of this vulnerability. When you can see in the top of the right side, the figure 4, the social vulnerability index developed by Susan Cutter and colleagues that show how social vulnerability is very different across the different regions of Brazil. Our early warning framework is very recently, but we are adopting a top-down approach yet. So CEMADEM, this is the federal level, receive all types of data from National Institute of Meteorology, Geological Survey, Water Agency, and forward warnings to the National Civil Defense that works together with the state level and local level. But this warning is delivered to community. What we are trying to respond is how to involve the people in the early warning system, not as a warning receiver, but active subjects. This project has the concept, the idea that every high school can become a local a local SEMADEM, which implies that they can monitor and develop research, deal with data, became data, interpret this data and turn into knowledge, information. One of our guidelines is based on citizen science. So students can deal with meteorological data, hydrological data, and share this data in a crowdsourcing mapping that can be used by not only by researchers, but in the future for monitoring services. We have a strong recommendation to develop low-cost early warning system. Another thing is that we not only the knowledge is important, but how to put these words into action. So we are trying to create inside these high schools commissions for disaster prevention involving students. We developed several researches, basic scientific researches to be conducted by these young students, so they can become young researchers. One of these activities is related to oral history. So we invited an expert in oral history. They deliver a workshop. Students learned the methodologies and interviewed elderly people to identify the past disasters. The other basic scientific research was related to risk mapping. Students used Google Earth and also performed field visits and social cartography activities. Related to weather monitoring, students learn some basic concepts related to meteorology and learn to build a rain gauge. One thing interesting in this project is that we have this principle that youth educates youth. One generation learn with another. So students are not passive, they are active. But we have several challenges ahead to reduce vulnerability in Brazil, and we are working together other ministry to reinforce our strategy. And one important thing that UNICEF recommends is that this project was developed by SEMADEM, but SEMADEM is located at Ministry of Science and Technology. So this project to scale up and reach other schools in Brazil, we have not only to use e-learning platform, but to work together with the Ministry of Education. And the other important thing is related to other stakeholders involved in the national civil defense and also in civil society. It's about what type of approach we want to develop in our early warning system. So this project, the coordinator of this project is an anthropologist that worked for 10 years at Ministry of Education. So the importance of this is that she has many knowledge related to pedagogy. So she is very expertise in this. So it's another thing that is very important, because we have to work with teachers in high school to develop these activities. So thank you. I don't know if we have time for one question or two.
I was wondering if you have developed or have experience with early warning systems that are accessible for deaf or persons with visual hearing impairment or any other physical impairment.
I worked 2 years in the monitoring room, so I have some experience with early warning. And as a sociologist and researcher, I consider that we have to think who are the people. We have a recommendation, develop people-centered early warning system. But we have to think about the diversity, the other contexts, and here it's a good opportunity to think about that. So, okay, in Brazil we have to include and to research how to consider the gender dimensions and other dimensions of specificities. So I think it's a challenge. I reckon these challenges, but I don't know. I'm not sure if all the policymakers and stakeholders are looking for the importance of the diversity and the other dimensions. The results of this study was published in this chapter. If you can look, you want to look.